Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and today let's have a first look at the aircraft and avionics update 2 beta and the Boeing 787. We will also have a look at the 747, but that's going to be a separate video, and we're going to start with the 78, which is really the more interesting plane, at least for me. But let's go right into it and see how it is going to look. And I would like to welcome you to the cockpit of the Boeing 787. So, the airplane is only included in the Premium Deluxe edition of Microsoft Flight Simulator, so you will need that in order to have the 787, otherwise you will only have the 747 as part of this update. So, let's go right onto the captain seat, and let me add a little precursor to this video. So, I haven't really looked too much into all the descriptions of what is included and what is not, and neither have I looked at the state at which the beta should be. So my opinion on what we are about to see is going to be about as unbiased as it could possibly be, obviously keeping in mind that I have some Boeing flight experience in the 737. Alright, so with that said, let's go ahead and have a look into our flight. We are standing in Frankfurt and we're going to fly over to Munich, which is one of the flights that Lufthansa have done in real life in order to acquaint themselves with the Boeing 787 before they started the first long-haul flight from Frankfurt to Newark. Now, we are going to try to replicate the flight, Lufthansa 4 Victor X-Ray, and in case you're wondering, there is even a documentary of the real flight available up here on YouTube, so do have a look at that if you're interested. However, I am not going to try and replicate the real flight one-to-one, but instead I'm going to fly it as a normal Boeing 787 operation. Apart from that, I should add that I have, or rather that I am aware that in real life Lufthansa only has the 787-9 and not the 10, so in case anybody of you wants to point it out, it is duly noted. Okay, right into the airplane, and up here we can start having a little bit of fun. So as said, I haven't really looked into anything that they have or have not included before, so if I'm making a comment on something that is a known problem, then just take it as that. Okay, off we go. Battery on, we have external power available, so let's connect those. My first impression here is that things are staying very, very quiet. We hardly hear anything. Now that used to be quite different in the Quality Wings 787 5 years back, so not sure which of the two might or might not be correct there. Okay, next up, let's go ahead and try to load the airplane in the EFB. Well, I can't click anything up here, so the EFB apparently is not simulated. So let's use the standard Microsoft menus here for the setup. So, fuel, SimBrief has calculated that we'll need 10 tons of block fuel, so that's what we are going to take. Nothing in the center and 5 in each wing tank. Okay, and the payload, we'll simply leave it unchanged. Okay, and that should be it. So, IRSs can go on, and the rest of it we'll do as part of the scan flow, so let's go ahead with the FMC setup. Position in it, obviously we're going to take the GPS position. Route of flight, we're in Frankfurt and we are going towards Munich. Like this, Lufthansa for Victor X-Ray. Okay. Then, departure. Runway 18, Cindy for Sierra departure. Route, next page. And we'll fly via Zulu 74 towards Harem and then Tango 104 towards Rokiel. Okay, for the arrival, let's take runway 08 left, Rokiel 08 transition. If that is available. No. Okay. The approach transition is missing. There is only some other stuff in there. Well then let's take the Rokiel 1 Alpha arrival and... Oh, lovely. The local 1 Alpha ends at Mike India Quebec NDB, and that transition is missing as well. Okay, well then we've just got to come up with something custom there. Okay, anyway, let's pretend we haven't seen that and continue on. So, 4.6 is our diversion fuel. 0 fuel weight. Let's see what we got there. Can we import that somehow? Yes, we can. Nice. Okay, 149.2, cruising altitude, flight level 230, and the cost index is going to be 50. Cruising CG, can we import that as well? Yes. Nice. Okay, execute. Pre-flight, we'll do a 20% D-rate, and in the absence of any performance calculator... Yep, nothing here as well. So in the absence of a performance calculator, let's go ahead and just use the 35 degrees assumed temperature. And for a flight like this, that should be more than enough. Top 5 takeoff. Can we import the CG? Yes, we can. Very nice. And the takeoff speeds we will simply copy and paste from here with 146 into the MCP. Here we go, 146. The set, and that's the FMC pre-flight completed. We can quickly check. No, they don't have a route 2 function. Okay, that's grayed out. Then we can't do any setup there. Enough page, transition altitude, and speed transition 240/100. That's not correct. Should be 250. And on the climb page it should be 250, and on the descent page 240. Okay, that might only come in flight, so yeah, that is not correct there. Okay, let's continue with the rest of the flight deck setup. So we've got the IRSs, we've got the primary flight computers, APU generators on, or rather auto. Then, starting up here, flight deck door is locked, window heat on, primary, hydraulic pumps on, passenger signs on. Oh, is it? Okay, it's only going directly between on and off. There is no auto position, it seems. And the cabin shine isn't simulated either. Okay, I can live with that. And let's go over here towards the fire panels. Test isn't simulated, it seems. Fuel pumps, we'll do in the before start procedure. Nav light on. Can we do a light test? No, that's not working either. Okay, and the remaining part here. I was part of a recirc fan off, that doesn't make sense. Well, at least we hear a little bit of sound now. So, flight directors on, we're going to climb up to 4,000 feet, LNAV and VNAV armed. We're in hectopascals today, and I am simply using a standard flight simulator weather preset scattered clouds, so 1013 is our QNH. Apart from that, terrain, traffic, same on the colleagues side, and what do we have here in the menu? Yeah, airport looks good, we want those. No waypoints, no stations, no data, VORs on. Oh no, the VSD is not simulated. That's a pity. But okay, we'll take what we have. Okay, down here, the comm setup. So we go to VHF. Then, yeah, I'm just going to set the standard watts and frequencies here. And look at that, I tried to insert something directly into the active, but it's still putting it into standby. But I guess that's going to be fine. Okay, squawk, 2000, and let's put that on above. Doesn't work, okay, so be it. We'll check the rest of this stuff later in flight. Okay, so we want to listen to... Right radio, please. Hello? Okay, I can't click that. That's a pity. Let's quickly see. Okay. Well, I kind of tried to get that green light on, which would indicate that we are actually listening to the right radio, which... actually, we should be listening to the center radio here. Well, okay. Looks like there's a little bit of stuff not working there, but not too much of a problem. Okay. Then let's have a look. If we go all the way down, yep, we have our airport map display over here, even though it does follow the standard Asobo layout, which is just showing the AFCAT from the top. But I suppose that's gonna be fine for us. Quick check through all the messages we have up here. Emergency lights, okay. So apparently we missed those. Where are they? Over here. Okay. Armed. What else do we have? All hydraulics, all fuel, that all makes sense. Okay, that's all associated, that's good for us. And let's go ahead and do the pre-flight checklist. Ooh, what is that? That is not the Boeing pre-flight checklist, that is for sure. Not sure where they dug that checklist out. Is that maybe from the default simulator? No, that is just... okay, not sure. Not sure why they only have so few checklists here, but anyway. Okay, well, we are gonna live with what we have over here, and in flight I'll see if I can come up with a real 787 checklist, just to show you what it should look like. So, pre-flight checklist. Battery switch. On. External power switches. On. APU selector. Well, we don't want to start it yet, so I'll just click that away. APU generators. On. Emergency light switch. Up here, guarded and closed. Nav light switch. Down here is on. Logo light switch off. Flight director switches. On. Seatbelt selector. On. Transponder panel set. Pre-flight checklist complete. Okay, let's get GSX and get our pushback. And then we can go. So, starting up the APU. Let's monitor the APU start on the panel up here.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Okay, that looks like pretty much a standard APU start there. I do seem to remember something, even though it's been a couple of years, that it should initially stop at 70%, but that might have been for the shutdown as well, for the cooling period. Anyway, APU RPM is at 100. Quick look at the electrical system.
Check completed.
APU generator is available, then we can remove the external powers. So, how can we disconnect those from the plane? They aren't even there in the first place. Okay, I suppose then we're just gonna ignore that. If we've got nothing standing outside, then fine for me. Okay, so let's move on to the before start checklist. So GSX is getting us ready. So ground to cockpit. Yes, go ahead, please. Can we pressurize the hydraulics? Yes, sir, you can pressurize the hydraulics. Okay, thank you.
Looking gear.
And that one. Okay, before start checklist. Auto throttle arm switches on. Takeoff speeds. That. Takeoff trim. Okay, should be 8.5. Is 8. Oh, what's that? Yeah, that's interesting. Look at that. The trim on the FMC tells me it needs 4 units. But up here it tells me it needs 8.5 units. Okay, 4 units of trim. So yeah, that magenta up there should be the same number you have on the FMC down here. To tell you like, hey, that's what I need, and that's what I have. Good that we saw that, otherwise I would surely have taken off with 8.5 units of trim, and I'm pretty sure that would have been a tail strike. Okay, takeoff trim set, altimeters 1013, reading 370 set, taxi and takeoff briefing complete, beacon light switch is on, before taxi checklist complete, and park and brake is off.
Commencing push. All engines clear, start at will.
Sure. So let's go for the systems and let's have a look at the... How want the electrical page on here and the status page on there, please. What's very pronounced about the 787, when you start your engines, they have an electrical starter and not pneumatic starter, like pretty much any other airliner that you are familiar with. So when you start up your engine, you get a lot of load shed messages down there because it sheds other equipment in order not to overload the airplane's electrical system. So that's going to be interesting to monitor there. In the meantime, let's see how GSX is performing outside. But I believe GSX should be fairly familiar with the 787 since it is included since the first simulator version, at least in terms of what GSX needs to do with it. Why are my spoilers out? They're definitely not supposed to be out. Let's see. Flight control. Ah, that might be GSX doing the steering inputs, I suppose. Okay, so, Pushback is almost complete. We are clear of the red line. Let's go ahead and start both engines. And yes, since it is an electrical startup, you can start both engines at the same time in the 787. We should now see our load shedding, but looks like nothing is happening. That is a pity. Because that is a really interesting system to monitor in the 787, and it is one of the particulars of that airplane. So I would have hoped that they included something like that. But keep in mind, I'm recording this with the very first beta version, so maybe that's just still on the to-do list and just not done yet. Meantime,
Set parking brakes.
Here we go.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
Unlocking gear.
Okay, 2 good starts. Then let's continue with the after-start procedures. APU off. Anti-air is not needed off, but it should all be in the auto position up here. So anti-air is auto. Then flaps 5, and we can do flight control track. Let's go ahead with that. Full up. Full down. That's quite a delayed reaction there. Let's try that once more. Down. Yeah, that should be faster if you ask me. Left.
Tow truck disconnected.
Right.
Being removed.
Neutral and
Left
the
is
rudders.
clear, right is clear.
Left, right. Neutral, recall. Why is my recall not working? Should say recall on here, even if there are no items. Okay, well, we are gonna pretend we've seen it, so... Oh, and the checklist... Let's try that once more. When you have a checklist completed showing down here, and then you go to another different system page, and then you go back to the checklist, it should automatically transition to the next one. But okay, before taxi checklist. APU selector. Off. Speed brake lever armed? What's that? No. We are not going to arm the speed brake. That is an Airbus thing. That is not a Boeing thing. You don't do that on any Boeing airplane. You never arm the speed brakes. Otherwise you are going to get a takeoff configuration warning. Because when you pull the reverses, your speed brakes are going to extend automatically. So that is definitely not correct. But wait a moment. Just to be 100% sure I'm not talking nonsense, I searched for a 787 FCOM earlier. Let me quickly bring that up for you. Okay. EFD, here we go. You can easily find that one on Google, by the way. So, let's see. Where are we? Can you go up a little bit? Pushback or towing. Engine start. Before taxi procedure, APU selector off, engine anti-ice as needed, flaps as needed, flap lever, flight controls, transponder, secondary engines off, recoil check. No, there is nothing about the, there's absolutely no speed brake arming. Is it anywhere before? Where's the last speed brake lever mentioned? It is. Speed brake lever down. So there is absolutely nothing in the 787 FCOM that would tell you to arm the speed brakes. So I'm not going crazy here. That is absolutely not supposed to be there. Well, we're gonna click it away, because we have to. Item override is grayed out. Okay, auto brake selector. RTO, takeoff flaps, that's 5, 5, and the green light. And taxi light switch on. Okay, B4 taxi checklist complete. And let's go ahead. And taxi. Park and brake off. Let's do a quick takeoff config check. Okay, we didn't get any warnings, so that is definitely correct. But now I'm wondering, if I arm those speed brakes, and if I do a takeoff config check now, okay, nothing coming on, then they didn't implement that. But no, you definitely should not arm the speed brakes in a Boeing. So don't even get into the wrong habit there. If you do that on any PMDG simulation or any, let's say, study level simulation, then you would definitely get a takeoff configuration warning for that. You're not supposed to arm. In terms of the scenery, if you're wondering, I'm using the Project Frankfurt, Virtual Frankfurt scenery, which is probably the best we have available for the airport, certainly better than the payware one that currently is out there. And in terms of the apron and the general layout of the airport, they are really, really good. Buildings, as we saw it in pre-flight, could use a bit more detail, but I hope that they're going to do that at a later point. However, for using Frankfurt Airport, this is really the best scenery that's available there. Obviously, since we're in Frankfurt, the frame rate isn't 100% good, so if you see a little bit of stuttering there, then I did load the airplane up at a remote default airport previously, and I had perfectly good FPS, so don't be too worried about the frame rate if it is not 100% perfect here in Frankfurt. That's not due to the airplane, that is due to the airport. Same with the Asobo Frankfurt, by the way. Okay, let's take the corner slowly, see how we are doing. Yeah, I should have oversteered a bit more with the cockpit. This is the 737 steering I'm doing over here. But for that very reason we're doing it. Okay, taxi at runway 18, that's going to be a rather lengthy taxi over here, so let's bring it up to 30 knots. And then we can do our takeoff briefing. So it is going to be a left sea takeoff on runway 18, flaps 5, noise abatement procedure number 2. Which I quickly need to check if I've actually put that into the FMC. I believe I didn't. No, indeed I didn't. Acceleration height should be 1,000 feet. Okay, that's better. So, noise abatement procedure number 2, and we have takeoff speeds of 131, 136, 146. Set up here and showing on the PFD up here as well. That's really important to check those to make sure that the information is actually correctly relayed to the airplane. Okay, sit straight at 2.5 miles, left turn out, initially climb to 4,000, departure frequency is going to be Honeycomb since we are flying this offline, and apart from that I do not have anything special. I'm going to cut this corner here a little bit so that we don't have to slow it down. That's an interesting loss of taxi speed, by the way. If you look at the ground speed that we're doing over here, the airplane decelerates really, really quickly, and I somewhat doubt that the real 787 would do that. Those aircraft, when they are so light as we are right now, I would rather expect them to accelerate, or at least sort of remain at the ground speed with a very slow deceleration. But that deceleration we're getting there, even though we're at a really, really light weight, is interesting. I don't want to say it's wrong, because I'm not type rated on a 787. I'm just saying it is not what I would expect to happen like this. We're about to reach the departure runway, so let's go ahead and do the before takeoff checklist. Again, should have switched automatically from before taxi to before takeoff. So, flight controls checked. Enough climb page display. But why? You want your takeoff page to be open there, not your climb page. By any Boeing SOPs. I can show you that in the AFCOM later if you want as well. So we're gonna ignore that. Engine anti-ice, not required. Auto. Strobe light switch. Normally you would have run that checklist first. Okay. Strobe light switch on, landing light switch is on, taxi light switch on, and transponder EA RA. Before takeoff, checklist complete. Let me sequence this to the next one already. So in case you're wondering, at least in the 737 MAX, and since the displays are the same as in the 787, we always had the engine display on the pilot flying side, and the pilot monitoring would keep the big display. But you can switch it around with the ICAS button over here. Okay, let's try a halfway decent lineup. Okay, that lineup looks okay to me. It is. Alright, let's go. Timing. Stabilized. Let's take off thrust. That's a bit too much. Okay, thrust set. D1. Rotate. Okay, careful now. What was that? That was a very interesting behavior there during rotation. Okay, gear up. Okay, into the flight director. Plane is pretty out of trim. Correct that. Okay, passing 1,000. Let's put the autopilot on and see how it is going to perform. And what is that terrain display doing? That's not correct. Let's get rid of it. Okay, flap 1. Speed checked. Flaps up. Speed checked. Flaps up. In the meantime, we would have called departure and gotten a climb clearance, so let's go ahead all the way to our cruising level 230. Set. 230 checked. Okay, flaps up, no lights. Set standard. And after takeoff checklist. So, landing gear lever up, flaps up, wing anti-ice, auto, spoilers down. Well, I guess if they wanted to arm it during the pre-flight, they want to put them down now, but as said, that is not correct procedure for a Boeing 787. Okay. So like that, we're flying. Absolutely lovely rate of climb, but then again, this airplane is supposed to fly for 18 hours, and we have loaded it up for a 30-minute flight, so a good rate of climb is to be absolutely expected. It really looks good, doesn't it? The 787. Really an amazing looking airplane, if you ask me. Okay, passing level 100, accelerating. And that might be a little bit turbulent there, so let's just about keep the seatbelt signs on. So, VNAV page should have popped up automatically. Beacon speed 260. That's really slow. Let's see what happens if we change the cost index. I put a high cost index on purpose there. Let's take 100. 3 knots more. Can we go 1,000? Yeah, we can. And that's giving us a good speed, okay. Then let's go with cost index 500. That gives us a good speed there. I guess that means that in the 787 they modeled the cost index range from 0 to 9,999. And in that case, the cost index I as a bloody 737 pilot wanted to fly, 50, would equal 500 on the 787. That's what I kinda guessed there. Okay, 3 degrees, entering some clouds, engine anti-ice on. Get some indications on here. Let's see if we flick it off. And if we flick it on. Interesting, there should be some indication confirming the anti-ice is indeed running. Well, in that case, let's just put it to auto. Maybe the ice detector is going to detect something automatically. We're passing 0 degrees now, so this is the icing range. Okay, let's see if the plane can do some directs here. So, let's go direct Delta Kilo Bravo. We have a plan mode, yes we do. Okay, Delta Kilo Bravo executes. LNAV available, LNAV. And we're leaving the icing conditions, anti-ice is back to auto, and we can put the seatbelts off as well. Okay, 3,000 to go, 3,200 feet a minute, that is fine. Why is it still showing climb 2 though? It should have washed out at 15,000. At least to the best of my knowledge it should. But let's remove it manually. Full climb thrust please. Let's see how much power this plane has. We've got 2 to go. I'm going to reduce the rate of climb in a moment. I just want to see how much climb power this actually has. Well, that's alright if you ask me. Okay then, vertical speed. 1,000 feet a minute. We've got 1 to go. Wow, that was a quick pitch down. That was a really quick pitch down. Let's try that once more. Here's something up high. Ooh, pulling G-forces. Now that's much too quick. That reaction is much too quick. At that speed, if you pitched up and down that quickly, you would make the passengers fly around the cabin. Okay, back to VNAV, VNAV path. Don't need the timer anymore. We should have elapsed time. Okay, we don't have elapsed time. It should have come on automatically when the air-ground system senses air mode. So basically once you're airborne. Okay, that is a pity. But okay, let's see where we are. You can cruise 74 miles to the top of descent. What's in there? Okay, we just gotta fix that routing. I would say go direct to the final approach fix just after Hawkill. That should be fine for us. Obviously that's not what you could expect in real life, but since we couldn't select any of those transitions in here. Execute, thank you, LNAVing. Okay, so we made it all the way up to cruise flight. About to enter some clouds again, engine anti-ice on. I suppose you could simply leave it in the auto position, and when it actually senses some icing, it would switch the anti-ice on. I believe that is how you're meant to do it in the airplane. But it feels a bit strange to me as a 737 guy. And we're out again. Let's wait until we're past this. Like now. Okay, engine anti-ice auto. So in the meantime, I don't really like flying with them too much, but let's have a look at the heads-up display. Here it is. So, standard Boeing HUD, at least as far as I'm aware. Obviously tailored to the 787 features, but I believe it should be quite similar to the HUD that we have in the 737, which I did a couple of videos on. If you're interested, do have a look at those. What's surprising me though, I've just reset my view to the standard MSFS view for the heads-up display, or rather, to the standard viewpoint that we have in the 7.8. And what's interesting here is that parts of the heads-up display are clipped off outside of the display. Because normally, when you are in the correct Boeing viewpoint, which, looking into the cockpit, we, well, more or less are, I would say. At least when looking around, this looks pretty much correct. Then you should obviously be able to see the entire display. So, you know, like this. You should be able to see the entire HUD indications. But well, that much about the HUD. Let's get rid of it again. I don't like flying with head-up displays. But good to know that it is there, and good to know that it is actually indicating something. Okay, about to start preparation for our arrival into Munich already, so let's go ahead. FMC, VNAV. Okay, now it shows 240 below 10,000, which is correct for the descent. So in the descent the Boeing should do that. But let's override it nonetheless and change it to 250, which is what we used to do on the 7.3 all the time. You gotta delete this. This should have brought up an execute light, but it didn't. Okay. Fair enough. Okay, forecast page, transition level 60. Invalid entry. Why is that? Clear. Do I have to type 060? Okay, that's not how it would work. Anyway. Okay, let's give it some winds for level 200 and 100. Flying at a default weather scenario, so I guess the 265 at 5 is just gonna last all the way down. 265 at 5 on here, and 265 at 5 on here. Okay, that's that. Fixed page, we'll draw a ring around Munich Airport, and the distance is going to be 70, no, actually 69, and another ring at 10 miles. Why is it not showing my rings? Oh, Munich, 69 and 10. Distance 101, that seems more or less correct, so we should see our fix ring here. Probably not implemented yet. I surely hope they are going to add those. Offset. Shall we play with an offset real quick? Because the slop procedures are of course quite important for North Atlantic operations, or for any oceanic operations. But looking at this, seems pretty much grayed out. Yeah, we can't press any of those buttons, key not active, so I suppose they haven't simulated strategic lateral offset. RTAs, also grayed out, okay. Let's see what we have though. Progress page. 99 miles, estimated time of arrival 10:01. That looks about correct, yeah. 7.5 tons, 37 to the top of descent. Let's just about skip through a couple of the FMC pages here and see what they have. Ident. That seems about right. Let's go to the position reference pages, see what we have. This is really just looking into a couple of those pages that you would not ordinarily see, just in order to, you know, get an idea of how complex the system simulation is behind this. But GPS doesn't look right. Radio stuff doesn't really... Well, none of this really looks like... Okay. Let's see, holdings. Can we put the holding in? Let's say hold it, Buram. Takes something automatically. It draws it well. That's all I want to see. Let's erase it. I don't want to fly holding. Okay. So, last bits of the landing preparations on the NavRat page. It pre-selected the frequency and the course. That is very good. Then let's just about put something else in. DME Munich North. And it gets the correct frequency. Nice. Even though the ident is not correct, but I suppose it might just be receiving something different there. So DME Munich North. Let's see for the ADF. We got 426 as invalid entry. Okay. Does it want 426.0? Okay, it wants it with a decimal. I don't believe you need to do that on the real plane, but that is fair enough. Okay, we don't need to pre-select anything. Well, this is interesting. Why is the course window grayed out? Key not active. That's interesting, so you cannot enter a course. Or maybe it's because it's a DME only station? Let's try something different. Let's take Ottersberg, which is just south of the airport. Okay, no. If you put a full VOR in, then you can't enter a course either. That is strange. I would certainly expect it to be able to do that. But then again, early beta version. FMC.com, what do we have on here? So this is the page where you could request all your routings and stuff. So let's say I want a wind request. Brings me to the page, but wind data request seems to be grayed out. Yeah, key not active. Okay, that's unfortunate. Well, in that case, let's quickly see what we have on the VNAV pages then. Got the cruise out, the speed, the distance to the top of descent, ETA, fuel. What is that? Fuel 16.3? We only have 7.6 right now. Progress page 7.4 on the arrival versus 16.2 in here. I got no idea where it's taking that from. I don't even know how it would calculate that value. Because I was just thinking if this may be something in... I was just thinking this may be pounds accidentally, but no. 7.4 times 2 minus 10%, that is not this. So... is it times 2 plus 10%? That could roughly add up. Maybe this is pounds. Maybe this is pounds. Shouldn't be, of course. The airplane is set to kilograms, as we can see over here. So it should be all kilograms. But okay. Yeah, so basic stuff seems to be there, with a little bit of functionality still to be added. And we've got a reset MCP alt message over there. Let's clear that. It showed up at 15 miles, which is correct for the 787. For the guys of you coming from the 73, in the 73 it shows up at 5 miles. In the larger Boeings it comes a bit earlier. But okay, let's set the altitude down then. Let's take level 100 initially and see how the descent is going to go. In the meantime, we can quickly set our minimums, which is going to be 16 and 70 for this. And look at that. Look at how quickly you can set this. That is how it needs to be. Obviously, in the 7.8, you do it in steps of 10s versus steps of 1s in the 7.3, but nice to see that you can set the minimum so quickly. Okay then, let's do the descent checklist and see what's going to come up. Auto brake selector. Let's use auto brakes 3. Anti-ice. Not required. And auto. Altimeters. 1013 is pre-selected set. Descent checklist complete. And it looks like it might get a little bit turbulent when we enter those clouds, so let's put the seatbelt signs on already, and then we can start our descent automatically. Hey, here it comes. Here it goes, nose down. Wow, 10 degrees. No, that is not right. Five degrees, yeah, that looks better. So what happened there? Well, I saw when we passed the TD, the VNAV path started to deviate downwards, and then probably just, you know, took the nose down in order to try and recapture that path. Obviously, things should have been a lot more smooth, and it should not have gone 10 degrees nose down. I don't know if the 787 is any similar to the 737 there, but I would kind of expect so. And if it is, then the nose down pitch limit in any mode but vertical speed should be 5 degrees, and in vertical speed 10 degrees. But then again, the 787 might be different there. In any case, what I can say is the rate at which it pitched down would have thrown passengers to the ceiling. I mean, makes the flight a bit more interesting, but you get where I'm going with this. And this is looking impressive, isn't it? Really impressive. Let's see what that looks like from the instructor seat. Here we go. Well, not as good. But this is really nice. So, how's the VNAV descent performing? Well, it's pretty much an idle. It's nicely maintaining the airspeed. The wind forecast we entered is accurate. By the way, is it my tinnitus or do we hear a Morse code? A Morse code in the background there? Why is that? Are we monitoring anything? Oh, the audio panel is set like we are, but I can't click on any of those, so can't switch that off. Please don't tell me that we are going to hear a Morse code for the entire rest of the flight right now. Okay, no further comment on that. Definitely no further comment on that. So now it would be very nice to have a vertical situation display, but it doesn't look like it. A quick comment while I still have this open. When we departed, I said like, I don't like the terrain display, and I switched it off pretty much immediately. Now, let me quickly talk about why that used to be the case. I just switched it back on, but we aren't seeing any indications right now. So, when we lifted off, my entire screen basically turned red. And then later on amber, and then green. But very, very bright. And looking down here, this is where it would change the brightness. And these are actually dialed all the way down. But I can't even click them, so look at that. I can change the display brightness of the large displays, but I can't change the small ones, which would be the brightness of the terrain and of the weather radar. And obviously, that stuff was so bright that you just couldn't see the route through it. And there was a bug on there as well. So basically, your airplane knows your destination and departure field elevations, and it is not going to show you all red terrain just after liftoff or just prior to touchdown because you are within 500 feet of the terrain, which is the normal criteria for showing a red indication on the terrain display. So the plane wouldn't do that close to the departure and destination airports. I don't know why it did in this case, no idea. Hey, looks like it's trying to slow down. But look at that, it's using thrust to counter the speed reduction. So it's pitching up nicely, but the target speed is not changing. Well, let's see where this is going. I'll just let it do what it wants to do, and we'll watch it and we'll see what's happening. But this is definitely something that the plane needs to adapt. So that is certainly something they need to fix before the update. Now it's going down, 360 feet above level 100. Well, let's see what the plane is able to achieve. and if it can still make the 250 knots before reaching level 100. In the real Boeing, at least in the 737, the VNAV is very, very accurate. It's normally going to reach the speed by the knot, provided the entered wind forecast is accurate. Which it is in our case. We put 265 at 5. Look at that. It's exactly that. Okay. Well, it reached the 250. Almost at the level. Now it's using a little bit of thrust again in order to maintain the speed. Okay, it kept nicely with the roll kill below flight level 100 restriction. It made the speed, so just needs to change a little bit in the level of attitudes, or level of altitude rather. And apart from that, that looked alright. So, passing level 100, let's flick on the landing lights and the turn-off lights. Seatbelt signs are on. Cabin crew, 10 minutes to landing. Look at that terrain display there. That is certainly not what I would expect to see here. Certainly not outside of that arc. It shows weather outside the arc, at least if it behaves similar to the 737 MAX, but no terrain. In any case, let's bring it to something that's more relevant for our flight. So, set altimeter 1013, passing 88, descending 5000, no flag, stand by sat. And then we can read the approach checklist. So, landing light switches are on, and seatbelt selector is on. Approach checklist complete. So, we'll use the autopilot to intercept the ILS, and when we are stabilized on the ILS, we will disconnect and see how the plane is going to fly manually. Getting the indications here already, so those do look decent to me. Let's arm the approach mode. Approach armed. Interestingly enough, the light is not coming on. So the way Boeing aircraft are built is that when you have a light showing on the autopilot, it indicates that the mode can be deselected. And the approach mode, as you can... Well, actually, if I'm clicking on it again, I cannot deselect it. Now, I do not think that this is right. In the 737, at least, you can deselect the approach mode until it captures. So, until it's actually captured the localizer and the glide slope, you could deselect it. Only once it's captured, you can no longer do it. And I would see absolutely no reason why it should not work the same with the 7.8. But then again, I might be mistaken there as well, so I'm not putting my hands into the fire for that. So, runway heading 080 set, the localizer is captured, we should capture the glide slope in a moment. The plane is trying to reduce its airspeed. We have here drag required. I'm gonna ignore that for a second, see how that works out. Okay, flap speed limit is 260 knots. Okay, glide slope capture. And that opens the MCP speed window like it should. Flaps 1. Okay, 230 knots obviously is quite fast for 13 miles. Let's up it a little bit. Take some of the speed brake. What's it doing? Why is it adding thrust as soon as I pull the speed brake when I'm 20 knots above the target speed? Let's stow that speed brake again. We don't need to work against ourselves. Okay, flap 5. Look at how it immediately stowed the thrust. By the moment, I brought the speed brake back in. Let's see if we can replicate that. Let's try that once more. Yep. Let's see if we use partial speed brake. Look at that, it's still countering the speed brake even though we are 15 knots above the target. That is certainly not correct behavior. What is this doing? Interesting, it tries to switch between page 1 and page 0 on the progress page there. Let's see, progress page 4, that looks better. Okay then, gear down, flaps 15 or flaps 20 I believe it is in this plane. Oh, we got a 15 position. Let's make use of it.
2500.
Terrain noted. We have landing clearance, taxi light can come on. So now we need to arm the speed brakes. For landing we certainly do. Okay, which landing flap did we select? What is that doing? Let's go flap 25, since we are rather light. And then flaps 20. And flaps 25. Okay. Landing checklist, landing gear, down, speed brake lever, armed, flaps, for landing, set 25. Landing checklist complete. Okay. So we're established on the final. The autopilot is certainly doing a very good job, as we can see, and as we're expected from working title. And by the way, this is what I meant with the terrain display. You shouldn't see any of those indications up here. The green is coming in because we are now 1500 above the field elevation, but it knows the field elevation. It shouldn't do that. So let's get rid of that display. Something I like, if you're moving your joystick a bit, then you can override the auto throttle there in order to position your thrust levers. Okay then. Autopilot disconnected. And let's see how this airplane is going to fly. What was that master caution? Did anyone see it? Continue. Ouch! Why did we touch down on the 10 call? I need to review that later on. The touchdown on the 10 call certainly doesn't seem right. Okay, I've got speed brake up, thrust reverse. Well, no indication actually on the reverser. Is it open? Yeah, it is. Okay. Gonna ignore that. Manual brakes. Auto brake just went back to the off position. It should have gone into disarm and we should have seen an auto brake caution here. And yeah, where the half master caution came from, I do absolutely not know. But anyway, we made it to Munich. Okay, that is off already. So, let's see if we have an after landing checklist. I don't think so, but no we don't. Just a shutdown checklist. Okay, clear on the right. On the left. Come on, airplane, get me going. And we have 7 tons of fuel there in the tank after landing. We flew exactly what the FMC wanted us to fly, and keep in mind, in flight it predicted 7.6, so that prediction was a little bit off then. I'll cut the line a little bit here, because nobody's standing here anyway. Okay then, stand 204 it is. Weather radar's off, lights are off. Probably turning much too early here. Okay, that does look good. Then long airplane, let's make sure we park. Okay, here we are. And here we go. Oh, park and brake set. Let's see if the APU is available yet. Yeah, it is. Normally there should be an APU available indication here. Okay, it seems to be there, and on the electrical it is working, okay. Oh, and we have ground power already. That's interesting. Well, in that case, might as well put it on the ground power and flick the APU off again. Okay, so we have power established, so shut down the engines. That auto start indication there was interesting. I don't think that is meant to come up. Why does it say caution? I don't have any caution. You recoil one? Range. Okay, anyway. And the engines are below 20%. And let's do the shutdown checklist. So, landing light switches. Off, taxi light switch. Off, throttle. Idle, park brake. Set, seat belts. Off, anti-ice. Why does it say off? They should be in auto. But we're going to leave them in auto because that is the correct position. We don't want to do negative training here. And fuel flow, cut off. Why does it say fuel flow? That's not correct. Okay, and beacon lights off. Shutdown checklist complete. Okay, so welcome to Munich, and that has been the first flight on the Boeing 787. Now, I don't see any way to open the doors over here, so we are not going to do that, but nonetheless, what do I think of the plane then? Well, I have mixed feelings right now. I've been beta testing for quite a while for all kind of different flight sim developers, and seeing that this is about to come out in 2 months, I believe, I am sure that they are not going to be able to fix everything. There is a lot of stuff in there that is very good, like the LNAV tracking was just perfect. The VNAV, well, tiny bit of things every now and then, but apart from that, VNAV is on a very good way, it seems. However, there was a lot of stuff that did either not work or was implemented incorrectly, and some stuff where I just couldn't understand the design decisions, like those electronic checklists over here. Go to the normal menu and we go through any of them. They are so incredibly different from the Boeing checklist. I don't know why they would do that. Especially when you have the in-sim checklist system available. So, I don't know why they would do that. Anyway, I did promise you guys to show you how the actual 787 checklist would look like. So, there is a QRH available online that you can use for that, and this is just about what it looks like. So, pre-flight checklist over here should just be oxygen test 100%, flight instrument, heading, and altimeters, park and brake set, and fuel controls, which is cut off. And instead, I just brought it up on the screen for you. Instead, you can see what you have in here. So, there are like completely different. And if we go over the rest as well, before takeoff checklist should be just the flaps, after takeoff checklist, landing gear, flaps, and stuff like that. So I don't know why they are doing the checklist the way they are doing them, but anyway, that is what I meant when I said, like, can't really understand that design decision. But anyway, overall, what is my impression then? Well, looking at what is simulated right now and what is not, and seeing that there are quite a couple switches on the overhead that are not even clickable, I do believe that they have potential to become a great avionics simulation for the 787, but this is not going to go into the study level direction. And I've seen a lot of you guys on the PMDG forums talk about if this is going to replace the PMDG 737, the PMDG 777 or a possible PMDG 787. And honestly, I do not think so. This is a different level of simulation. This seems to be aimed at more the casual flight sim who doesn't care about systems and just wants a nice looking plane with avionic functionality to get you from A to B. And for that, I have to say that it was quite amazing. So it did the job quite well, getting us from A to B, with a couple quirks in there, but when they are worked out, I am sure that this is going to be a very good simulation. Just be sure to set your expectations right. Don't expect a PMDG-like simulation for this. But if you just expect something like with decent avionics, then I am very sure Working Title is absolutely going to deliver on that. So, I would like to thank you very much for watching. Hope you have enjoyed this one. If you did, do let me know in the comments below. If you like what I'm doing on the channel here, then I would love to see you as a channel member, which is going to give you exclusive early access to new videos before they're released for anyone else. And if you don't want to sign up for whatever reason, you can always support me using the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again, hopefully very soon.